Today I'm going to review The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes from 1939. The Adventures of Sherlock Holmes came out in 1939. It's the second of 14 films that Basil Rathbone played Sherlock Holmes, and it's the last to be set in Victorian times. The other 12 would be set in the 40s. The film's also known as Sherlock Holmes in the UK. It runs 81 minutes and was the last film to be released by 20th Century Fox. The other ones were done by Universal Studios. It's the first film to star Moriarty, and this film is played by George Zucco, and at the end of the film Moriarty falls to his death. However, he comes back in the fourth film called Sherlock Holmes and the Secret Weapon. This time he's played by Lionel Atwill. The film was directed by Alfred L. Werker, and the film stars Basil Rathbone as Sherlock Holmes, Nigel Bruce as Dr. Watson, Ida Lupino as Anne Brandon, George Zucco as Professor Moriarty, and Mary Gordon as Mrs. Hudson. So the plot of this film's Sherlock Holmes meets Moriarty for the very first time. And it's a clever little plot. Moriarty's trying to trick Sherlock Holmes into solving this crime. He sends him this drawing of like a man with a bird's head coming out of his chest, a date on, so that's to confuse him while he goes and pinches the crown jewels. George Zucco's brilliant as Moriarty. I love the scene where Basil Rathbone and him are in this coach together, and you can tell they respect each other's intelligence.
You've a magnificent brain, Moriarty. I admire it. I admire it so much I'd like to present it pickled in alcohol to the London Medical Society. That would make it interesting exhibit.
That's a really good introduction to Moriarty, and I think George Zucco was the best one to play him. And Sherlock and Moriarty remind me a lot of Doctor Who, the Pertwee Doctor and the Master. They're kind of similar. They respect each other, but one's good and one's evil. This is kind of similar. In this film you see Moriarty in his home. He has a love for plants. He bollocks the butler for not watering them. So he's a great character. He has a beard to start with and he shaves it off so they don't recognise him. And I think Basil Rathbone's probably his best in this film. He plays the character of Sherlock Holmes with a bit of humour. I like the scenes where people are knocking on his door and he knows exactly who it is by the knocking. So he's kind of making a bit of fun out of the character itself, like playing it a little bit for laughs at times.
Watson?
Yes? I'm afraid you're an incorrigible bungler.
Hey, that bloody Basil Rathbone is Sherlock Holmes. He's a right big-headed bastard. Watson's great as well in this film. I like the bit where Holmes is playing like a violin to do with flies, trying to get the right note to make them fly away. Watson's got one of the best scenes in the film, right at the end. Holmes is doing his violin at the end of the film. Watson gets a newspaper and flaps the fly and squashes it. You see, it's elementary. Excellent. You also see Holmes showing off his master of disguise. In this one, he's dressed as like a guy singing. Oh, I do want to be beside the seaside. So he's like a performer on stage sort of thing. And you wouldn't recognise it's Basil Rathbone. I was surprised. The film's also well directed. There's a great use of shadow in this film. Very film noir. It's especially good towards the end of the film when Holmes and Moriarty are chasing each other and they run up like the Tower of London. And I was really surprised watching this film. I didn't expect Moriarty to fall off and supposedly die. Although he does return in the fourth film. This is the second one where he returns in the fourth film, played by Lionel Atwill. How the hell did Moriarty survive that bloody fall? Did he have a bloody parachute up his bloody arsehole? And this is kind of like It's the last film set in Victorian times. The rest of the series, the next 12 films, are in present day, the 40s, and they're not quite as atmospheric, I think. There's a few of the films that's just kind of like a bit propaganda, just having a good slag off of the Germans. All them bloody films set in the 40s as soft as bloody shit. All them bloody Germans about keeping a stiff upper bloody lip. Soft as shit. And they're not as expensive looking, because the first 2 films were done by 20th Century Fox and they had bigger budgets. So the Universal ones, I think they were doing them on the cheap. But they're still fun films. I'm looking forward to re-watching them all. So I've done the first 2 films so far, so there's 12 more to go. Now, I think this one's probably the best one, or it's certainly one of them. So all the cast's great, and it's a fast-moving film as well. And these films are pretty short. This one's about 81 minutes, so it goes over really fast. So I think out of 10, I'm going to give this one a good mark. I'm going to give it 9. 9 out of 10. Do you think both of you like it? Bloody brilliant, Phil. Best one. You can't beat these old Sherlock Holmes films. Okay, everybody, bye. Like, subscribe and share. See you next time. Bye.
Those flies again.
Very effective, my dear Watson.
Elementary, my dear Holmes. Elementary.